Due to the nature of strong language in today's episode, viewer discretion is advised. Today on Blissfully Tea Drunk With.
Alrighty, welcome to the next panel of Blissfully Tea Drunk With. My name is Cody, and today we have a fantastic panel. We have a few international panelists today, so we span all over North America today. So to my right, or at the time of the recording, it's to my right, we have Nadia. She's with David's Tea.
Hi everyone. Hi Cody.
Hey, below me is Anna. She is a tea blogger in Borderton, because I found some really cool information about Borderton, and I have a couple of questions to ask you about it. But next to her, we have Mike, who is Sips JoJo Tea, and he's in Miami, which I just, for some reason, did not equate it to being on the East Coast prior to this.
Miami is a Caribbean country to the south of America that somehow still takes advantages of, hey everybody, what's up? Welcome.
Hey,
nice
so
to meet you,
I was
Mike.
doing some research about this panel, and Anna, I want to start with you because you said you lived in Borderton, and I couldn't believe that you're from South Australia. So for people at home who don't know, Borderton is a township in Victoria, the Victorian Province in South Australia. So Anna, how did you make it over to the US-Mexican border from Australia? What brought you there?
So I am from a border town. It's called Mexicali.
I did all my research. So I have a list of questions about Borderton, and because Borderton has Bob Hawke, he's one of the most famous prime ministers in Australia, and I did all my research for you on him to ask you questions about how he's represented South Australia. We'll circle back to this. I'll have to think on my feet on what to do next. So next, I want to go to Mike, who's with Sips JoJo Tea. So you're in Miami.
JoJo Tea.
Sip JoJo Tea, yes.
JoJo Tea.
JoJo Tea, not Sip.
Sip JoJo, our Instagram tag. It's our website, but the company is called JoJo Tea.
Gotcha. But also, given that you're in Miami, I wanted to ask you, do movies like The Fast and Furious and also Bad Boys, do those movies actually hurt the Miami image? Because I feel like when people go to Miami, they expect to see a bunch of muscle heads and muscle cars, but that doesn't really represent. Oh yeah, also they want to see terribly made sequels too. So but that doesn't represent Miami. Miami's not just about terribly made sequels.
Have you been to Miami?
I did whenever I saw Bad Boys 2 in the theaters.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's a lot like that. There's explosions are a regular occasion here. A city that has a cultural relationship with cocaine the way that Taiwan has with tea is gonna have a lot more explosions than Houston. You're from Houston?
Well, no, I'm from a state of anxiety. But also, did it hurt the Miami economy when they moved the Fast and Furious to Tokyo Drift and they also moved it to Rio de Janeiro? Did it hurt the Miami culture in any way when they did that?
That's a good question. I think I don't know, man. That's
alrighty. I just really feel like Miami deserves to be painted in a better light. And now you have Ron Bad DeSantis Claus representing all of Florida, but he wasn't from Miami.
No, he's not. He does not represent Miami. It's a different thing. You have the state of Florida, and then you have this. Miami's a different thing. Like Florida's the American South. Miami is more like Venezuela. Miami feels more like Santo Domingo than it does like any city in the U.S. Because there's chaos and people show up late to everything, and there's a lot of sex and drugs and rock and roll. And and that's kind of like what Miami was built on to a certain extent. Like the skyline of Miami was like financed by cocaine money, and like, so it's a city that's kind of built in the entertainment kind of economy. But then as a result of that, we've had like real serious cash infusions into like our restaurant scenes and our hospitality scenes and our cocktail bars, and they're serving banging tea now. And I love Miami. Yep.
Right, but Miami got stuck with Kevin Hart and also Dwayne The Rock Johnson when they could have had Sandra Bullock and Rebel Wilson. So I'm just going to leave that thought there. I'm going to go to Nadia of David's Tea. So I have something really interesting here. David's Tea, one, this is a watermelon. I bought him at the farmer's market. He's tiny. Ain't he cute? And the next down here, I also have a Matcha Love Matcha tasting set from David's Tea. This has no relation to the watermelon. I was just happy with the watermelon, and it's just there.
Okay.
Hi.
We have had some watermelon matcha, so there is kind of some relationship.
But you guys do a lot of flavored matchas, and for a lot of matcha enthusiasts, I will say I've seen a lot of people have had bad experiences with flavored matcha, including me. But the matcha that you guys do, it's actually really good. This is good.
It's more than good.
It is very good.
I don't want to toot our own horn, but we really specialize in making flavor forward blends and always making sure that it's a great experience in a cup. I'm just now on my toes because I've seen what you've done to the other people. And I'm like, where is this going?
But given you're in Canada, one thing that people don't know about David's Tea is that they once did a marketing campaign with Carly Rae Jepsen, because being the Canadian herself, she was actually at a David's Tea to promote one of her new albums by having a meet and greet at one of your stores.
Yes, she did.
Any chance of bringing her back? Because Target, she did an advertisement for Target around Christmas time with, was it Wiz Khalifa? It was a really weird collaboration, but she made it work. But the whole time she was doing this with Target, I thought it really should have been David's Tea. So why? So is she coming back?
I know. She left a voicemail and said, "Call me maybe."
And you didn't call her back. I would have. We'll get back to this. So Anna. So Australian Prime Minister Bob Hawke was won the Labour Party 3 times in a row from 1938 to 1991, making him winning the election for Prime Minister 3 times, the most in the Labour Party. And one of the great things that he did was he actually outlawed gender discrimination in the workplace for all of Australia, making him one of the most influential Australians to date. So obviously you weren't old enough to know because you're much younger than that, but do you still see the ripple effects of Bob Hawke in Australia today?
Well, that's really cool to hear. That's good for Australia. And I guess I'll have to ask actual Australians about that. So I can't really answer your question, but I can tell you about gender discrimination in Mexico.
Yes,
we can go there. You know what is really interesting that I didn't realize, Cody, and I'm going to interrupt this right now, that you have 3 tea people that I think have Latin American roots, because I'm from Mexico. I'm born and raised in Mexico.
Yo soy cubano. Yo soy de familia cubana, pero yo nací aquí en Miami.
I can tell by when you said Dominicana, I'm like, oh, okay, so there's some Latin in there. Yeah. And then Anna is also from Mexico. So that's really cool.
Cheers to all of our heritages.
And it's really cool to see that more and more Latin American people are coming into the world of tea. I think it's so powerful because we all have such distinct characteristics and amazing food and culture, and to come into another world and kind of find that same community, that's really amazing. So I'm very glad to meet you guys.
I'm glad y'all are here, and that was not intentional by any means. It actually wasn't. It's a fun surprise. But Mike, I do have to ask you, speaking of, I was going back through, and I'm going to show a photo up here of what I'm talking about. So some of the older photos of you on Instagram, you look like a lot like Chris Evans. So that made me want to ask you, is your favorite Avenger Captain America? I mean, you do look like him. I mean, look at this photo right here. Y'all see that?
No, I don't see it. I don't. No. I don't see any photos. But I don't know. My favorite Avenger is yeah, man. Like I gotta be honest, and like it just is what it is. I'm not into the whole Marvel thing, man. I'm not I'm not really into it. You know?
Oh, it's okay. I'm a DC person for no good. I like plot executions that don't fully make it to the very end. I like it when certain plot points are dropped, and I just love instant gratification early on in a movie without having to actually reach a conclusion. That's why I love DC.
Yeah. Word. All right, rock and roll, man.
Ding dong.
Wait, do you guys hear that?
Oh.
Ding dong.
No.
That means it's time for our in talk show game show, Steeped in Nepotism. Let's play the cue card.
What are the cue cards?
Well, do you hear the game show music? Do you want to know a fun fact? We've been doing this all season, but nobody truly knows. This is actually one of the demos that we did for the theme song of the talk show. But we decided that because a lot of people in America like having mid music played to them through the radio, we went the mid option for all the recordings we did. Let's go ahead and play the track again. That's exhilarating. It's like something Bruno Mars would pick up. Alrighty, so let's move on to the game show. So the game show that we've been doing with each panel is called Steeped in Nepotism, where I give 3 fun facts about an individual. So the individual will be vague, but you as a panel has to decide. Is this an individual who is from the tea industry or the pop industry? Because nepotism, you can't succeed in either industry without nepotism. So we're going to have you guess from which industry. And if you're able to guess the correct individual in this, you also get a bonus point. So far, only one panel whose episode hasn't happened yet. Gives you something to look forward to. They've actually, only one person has correctly guessed the individual I was naming. So are y'all ready to play?
Yeah.
Yep.
I am going to list the 3 facts, then set the timer for 1 minute, and I will do a countdown. So we all have one full 60-second minute. So here are the 3 facts. This individual is related to a sibling who got the family name started in this industry. This individual is popular in Canada as well as the rest of the United States and the rest of Europe. This individual has recently had a resurgence in their prospective industry after having some bad press. Alrighty, the 60-second clock starts now. Am I describing a tea industry professional or a pop star?
Could you repeat them?
Sure. This takes up your time, so I'll do it quickly. They have a sibling who helped get the family name started. They're popular in US, Canada, and the rest of Europe. They have a recent resurgence after bad press.
Sounds like a star.
I think it's a pop star because to have a tea individual that's known in US, Canada, Europe.
Just the US and Canada. And with a brother or a sibling that got them into the tea and that got them into the biz.
We got 10 seconds left on the clock.
Pop star.
Yeah, pop
person.
star.
3, 2, 1, and time. So I guess the panel, so y'all are going to collectively go with pop star.
I don't know, Mike.
I mean, look, if it's a democratic thing, then ultimately it doesn't really matter.
Mike is the outlet. Mike wants to say tea person.
I don't know. It's like I know that there are some family tea companies that, because in most tea companies it doesn't matter. No, you said the US and Canada, right?
No, he said US, Canada, and Europe.
Oh, and Europe.
Mike, you've already had your 60 seconds.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying then. Why I didn't volunteer the information you asked me.
Wow, when did Tony Soprano come out? The panel. Wow.
Well, he is from
the Latin
root. So if the majority of the panel is going with pop star, you would be correct. So Jamie Lynn Spears got famous from her older sibling Britney Spears, who also was popular in US and Canada. After bad press for being ran down by her sister Britney on social media by making poor choices, she has recently made a resurgence in popularity based on the reboot of Zoe 101. But given that tea and music just are so heavily bedded in nepotism, it really could have been anybody. I mean, anyone could have been anything.
We're going to take a break from today's episode to talk about today's sponsor, Yamasan Overseas. Yamasan's an incredible company that sells Japanese tea, including matcha. For as clear as my camera get, look how crisp that tea is. I mean, just look at that color. Yamasan's matcha is incredible and has been one of my favorites for the entire year. Despite that I struggled making this commercial with using one hand, I did my very best, and accidents are still going to happen. I mean, oops. But look at that beautiful green, vibrant color that came from their matcha. I also want to do a throwback to earlier in the summer whenever they sponsored me to do a matcha latte recipe with them on my Instagram. Not only is their matcha vibrant, tasty, and crisp to the tongue, it's also incredible in making lattes with. It's very versatile and goes great with any flavor and creates a wonderful, fragrant taste. This is one matcha you definitely have to try for matcha enthusiasts all around. Thank you, Yamasan, for sponsoring today's episode. I really appreciate you. And thank you for the tea.
Next, I have a question for you, Anna. So, Bob Hawke is the one who preceded Malcolm Fraser. Malcolm Fraser wasn't very liked in Australia for being a prime minister. So I think the facts speak for themselves that Bob Hawke actually left a better legacy than Malcolm Fraser, but some people in the other parties might say that's a controversial statement. So how do you feel?
I feel that every country has politicians that can potentially make people have difference of opinions.
I agree.
That is true. See, we all agree here. See, there's no vitriolism here.
I don't
So,
know.
Mike,
Nadia?
I wanna ask-
we haven't heard from Nadia. Nadia?
I'm just impressed at Anna's PR response.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer, so
Great, Anna.
But Mike, you're in Miami, and I know a lot of people in Miami, especially on the beach, they'll sometimes wear Speedos. And in most European countries, and especially like South American countries, people predominantly, like men wear Speedos predominantly more than in America, because it's like a prudish thing. You can't wear a Speedo in America for some reason, except in Florida. But I once wore a Speedo to the beach, and I was making tea because I brought like a little fire thingy and a kettle, so I made it on the spot like a campsite.
Wearing a Speedo?
Yeah.
That's
I was wearing
dangerous.
a Speedo. Yeah, and I actually spilt my tea on a tea bag, and it hurt really bad. And I felt really bad because I'm not gonna go to a doctor for that. That's the kind of burn you don't go to your doctor for, because that's embarrassing. They're gonna laugh at me once I leave. So after that, I went to the store and I bought Vagisil because it says it's for both burning and itching. And after about 6 days of doing it, it didn't do anything. And I now say it's the biggest waste of $12 I've ever spent on a Tuesday on vacation. Is that just not a shame? I took it back to the pharmacy and said, I need a refund on this. And they said, no, it's already been opened. We can't reuse it.
Yeah.
So have you ever had tea on a beach?
Yeah, I'm sorry. First of all, I'm sorry that you went through that, and I recommend that you find a doctor that you feel comfortable enough with. You wouldn't believe the kind of things I've gone to my doctor with, and at the end of the day, your peace of mind is worth that. So I want to encourage. I'm sorry that happened, but I think that again. Yeah,
I just now realized that I should have gone to the doctor, and it would have been very ballsy of me to do that, and I really should have.
There you go. That's good. All right. So,
what do you do when you're 19?
Have I ever had tea I've had tea on the beach. Yeah, I've had tea on the beach. Yeah. Yes.
Nice. How was it?
He didn't. Did you wear a Speedo? No, right, Mike?
Honestly, no. But I have had tea on a beach. It was like a thermos situation, some like a Taiwanese baihao oolong.
Nice.
So Cody, is actually having tea on a beach while wearing a Speedo a trend you've been noticing?
Well, no, because after that incident, I never did it again. So whatever trend I was about to start, it died right then and there.
Yeah.
How you want to start it? I see.
You gotta
Nadia.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's actually a connection with you and Anna on the panel today, and I'm going to say bear with me as I make this connection, because Canada is it's not really like owned by the royal crown, but it is like underneath in some aspects underneath the crown.
Mm-hmm. We're
So
part of
Anna,
the Commonwealth.
you're part of the Commonwealth, so is Canada. But Anna, unbeknownst to you, I bet you didn't know this, but Prime Minister Bob Hawke from the Victorian province of Bordertown, South Australia, he was represented in the fourth season of The Crown, which is about the royal family in England, which also is part of the Commonwealth that Nadia is in. Is this a wild coincidence?
Yeah, I actually haven't seen that particular season of The Crown, so that's very interesting to know.
I stopped at season 2, I think. But we are kind of related because we're from Mexico. And apparently when you meet Mexicans outside of Mexico, and they're like, oh, you obviously know each other because you're from Mexico. We're like, oh, yes, of course.
You know,
We're
it's funny
all-
because people do that with gay people, because I've had someone say like, oh, like you're gay, Cody? Oh, my friend Tom from high school is gay. Like, do you know him? It's like, yeah, I've seen him at the meetings, like, obviously. And then I say that's like a dog whistle, and they're like, I didn't hear anything.
So
I mean,
I know that you wanted to keep this short, but I'm very curious to know how everyone got into the world of tea, if it's possible. Do we have the time? Am I cutting through your schedule?
I got time, plenty of time. I got about another half hour, no problem.
Yeah,
but
same.
I have a comedy bit and sponsorship to get. I mean, well, we only have like a few minutes left.
Do it. Do your thing, Cody.
We have a few minutes left on the clock. So I got into tea because I like tea. It's always been there. I can't remember not thinking. It just feel like it's always been a part of my life. And they say that, like according to Elvis Presley, Edison Stein, whatever, he said that time is a construct and it goes forwards and backwards, and we're all pre-existing at the same time. So it doesn't matter when I started my tea journey. It's always been there anyways. It's not crazy, wild. Like right now, I'm continuously being. Well, right now I'm being stampeded and dying at a Lana Del Rey concert at a music venue at the same time of being born. But it's not happening right now. One's in the future, one's in the past, and it's all happening at the same time. Isn't it weird how just time works? Mm-hmm. Like right now, like you guys on the East Coast are 2 hours ahead in the future, even though it's the same time. Is that not crazy?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So also I have the last question. I do have one more question for you, Mike. We're going to end today's panelist with you on the, because I do want to go into an hour and a half discussion about how we got into tea. But Mike, I have another pressing question. I just have to ask you.
What's up?
Hey, what's up? So,
Cody,
I want to say about your governor, Ron Bad DeSantis Claus.
What's up, man? How are you feeling?
Well, okay. Well, it started and I woke up this morning. I woke up past my alarm. Then I was rushing out the door and was late to work, and I spilled my coffee on myself. And it's really, I mean, I could.
But you're good.
Like,
but you're good.
Was some idiot that cut me off when I honked.
Yeah. Anything? What?
They cut me off when I honked, but they cut me off.
Yeah, no, that shit happens. That shit's gonna happen, bro. That's just gonna happen.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, like I didn't honk back because you don't know these people out there driving. They can't drive and they could be carrying a gun.
That's what I'm saying. They fucking film Bad Boys here, man. It's terrifying. You gotta just drive. And if people honk, you say okay, because you don't know. They have grenade launchers. Yeah. This is Miami.
Okay, so I have a question though, a serious question for you though about Rod Bad DeSantis Claus, because Bad DeSantis Claus in Florida passed a don't say gay bill, but like I'm just saying, has anyone ever questioned heterosexuality? No, bear with me for a minute. I mean, it's a lifestyle they choose. I mean, I mean, they don't have to always. Straight people can be straight, but they don't always have to act so straight.
Yeah.
I mean, can't they just be straight in private, where it's not going to affect anybody in public? I mean, why do they have to push their agenda on everybody else? I mean, for all we know, it could or could not be a sin. Some churches allow it, some don't. But I mean, for some people, straight is a choice that they choose.
Mhm.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think that, yeah, I mean, like, I think that, is that a question? Can I talk about it?
You can throw an opinion out there if you want, but because I also have Twitter, which is newly branded as X, I have it launched and ready to go to cancel you depending on your response.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't. All right. I'll just we'll forget it. I'm saying, like, the choice of whether or not
Yeah.
you can engage sexually is a choice to a certain degree. But then, like,
Yeah.
there's also natural urges that are going to happen, and like those natural urges are going to find their way into the correct energetic receptacle, regardless of what that looks like on the front of the bag. So, fucking, I think that, like, that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Like I said, man, like, this is Miami. In Miami, people fuck a lot. So it's like, that's just part of the thing. We know that, some people like to do it with other people. Some people like to do it with boys. Some people like to do it with girls. So, as long as you're not, in the
Adult.
teenage range or in the,
Adults and not hurting each other.
and
Yeah.
consent, enthusiastic consent. As long as there's enthusiastic consent, then that's all good. And Ron DeSantis is in America. This is Miami.
All that applies unless you're a Catholic church leader. Alrighty, we're going to move on next to the next part of the talk show. Let's go ahead and bounce over to today's comedy segment. Let's go over. Let's go. Okay.
Because, Butters, the song Rush is not about feeling the rush of being in love with someone. It's actually about a thing called poppers, and we'll talk about it in just a minute. Hey, my name is Cody. I'm also known as the Oolong Drunk, and welcome to one of the last episodes of the talk show. So I've been doing this talk show for quite a while. I did it 3 years on Instagram Live, and after that I did it a year on... Bye, Butters. After that I did it a year on YouTube, and now here we are for the final season. So on Instagram, I posted, to be a little bit more on the serious side... I know, me, right? What questions do you have for the talk show? So for the last bit of this episode, we're going to do a couple of Q&A questions that you guys submitted through Instagram. So the first question asks, how do you keep things fresh in regards to tea blogging or the tea hobby in general? Well, I keep things fresh by trying things that are new. I always try something different. I never say no. Anytime there's an opportunity to collab with someone, I always say yes. And I used to never show my face on my blog. Then I started writing on my blog, and I started writing for other people. And now I have a talk show where it's only my face, But yes, keep things fresh by always trying new things. Don't say no to trying new things, and just keep your mind open on what's going to come in your direction. The next question asked, how did your tea obsession start? I never asked you that. We just get so lost in conversation. It started by voice crack. My tea obsession started by when I was in high school going into the college age. I was originally planning on being a weight loss consultant, so I was working at a clinic while enrolled in school to study food science when someone brought me tea and they said, you have to try it. It's amazing. You really need it. It's great for weight loss. It's great because it's, we've all heard that. So I went to the store and bought the oolong that she said to buy. I bought those reusable tea bags, and I went to Starbucks with hot water, or to get hot water. And then I steeped it in the tea bag in the cup of hot water for 20 minutes. And I was like, in my Starbucks cup, I was like, that looks right. 20 minutes is enough, maybe 30, but 20 should be fine. And I tried it, and it was disgusting. I then Googled, at the time I was like, I spent so much money on this. There's no way I spent $10 on this oolong that it tastes like that, So I Googled how to make tea, and it said steep for 2-3 minutes for the type of oolong I had, and I was like, oh. I went back to Starbucks on my break. I got another cup of hot water, brewed it for 3 minutes this time, and it was chef's kiss, incredible. And ever since then, I started falling down the rabbit hole, and 8 years later, here I am. Someone else asked, how did I find the panel guests? Do I approach them? Do they know you? The way that I've approached the panels in the past in the first few seasons when on Instagram Live, I would always think, who in the world of tea would get along with each other? For the last few years of the talk show, I would think, who in the world of tea would you never imagine having a conversation with each other? Who are like polar opposites in the world of tea that we can get together? And that's how I started forming the panels. Who's the most polar opposite from one another? And then we have our panels. I know most of them in some form, like the panelists, I know most of them in some form or fashion or in some capacity. If not, we've at least liked each other's things on Instagram. So it wasn't like, there were maybe some guests actually, the more I think about it. There are several that I reached out to. I'm like, hey, jump on, join on. And they're like, oh, who are you? Like, what is this? So, but mostly everybody has known each other. If they don't know each other, they know of each other. So, yeah, I just send them a message and we organize. And this is actually the longest part of filming the talk show, is actually organizing. Some panels have tea companies are on the other side of the world or just various time zones. So the longest panel that took to organize took us almost 2 months to put together. And that was a little pressure because usually on the panels, if something messes up, a lot of us are usually in like similar time zones. It's easier to re-coordinate. But for this one, I remember thinking like, this is my one shot. I can't screw it up. If it gets screwed up, then I can't do another 2 months waiting to film it. Thankfully, that one did get derailed. But one of the guests forgot. It was the guest that we waited 2 months for. So, next question asks, what made you create the show at the beginning? Do you have a background in communications? Oh, great question. Maybe when I started the talk show, it was the initial Hillary Clinton. No, it wasn't Hillary Clinton. It was one of the elections. I think it was the Joe Biden and the Trump election, if I remember correctly. And everyone was on edge. Every single one of my tea friends were upset, tired. They were worried, like what's gonna happen. And there was this. I could tell in the blogosphere and in like social media, a lot of my friends had this anxiety, and I just remember thinking like everyone's so vitriolic, no one's together. We were this, then we're now here, and I just wanted to bring everyone back here. So that night of the election, I remember thinking it would be great to get a lot of my tea friends together. Maybe we film, maybe we have tea on Instagram Live and just have tea with everybody. Doesn't matter if you're red or blue. We're gonna just be together and like forget the elections happening. That's crazy. That's anxiety. So it was just a great moment where we could be together. So that night I did a show. I did 6 Instagram Lives back to back. They were every 30 minutes a new one started with 5 minutes in between for a costume change. I had my costumes and clothes laid out. And then that was great. It was fun. A lot of us drank tea together. We had a few hundred people watch live, and we weren't talking about anything that I remember. It was nothing like specific or special. It was just like, work together. Then after that, I was inspired by when Instagram decided to release their live function, and you could add multiple people to a live. That inspired me to say, well, that show was kind of like a fun distraction. Let's get together and drink tea together, and let's do something more fun of it. So that's kind of the beginnings of the show. I don't have a background in communications. Great question. I've enjoyed public speaking since high school and something I've always done. And I'm probably a little too unapologetic about what I do front facing in this sense. I should probably cast my line and reel it in, you know. Next question. Throughout the series, you had filmed on your couch. Why is there purple blankets on your couch? Okay, so you're observant. This is, in my couch, I have 2 cats. Well, not on my couch. In my apartment, I have 2 cats. They're my babies. And I do sometimes pull like old bed sheets in like old pillowcases. I will put them on the couch. I have a sheet on my couch. I have a sheet on my bed, and I have like sheets on a lot of furniture that I know the cats are going to climb on. It just makes it easier because like I can throw this in the wash a lot quicker and easier than I can cleaning the couch. I might still clean the couch, but that's more quicker. Next question is, what will fulfill the comedic role in your life as after the show ends? My life is a joke. I don't need to fill it. Next question. What is your next adventure? My next adventure is I'm going to sleep and not setting an alarm. I'm sleeping in. My next adventure, I did actually take almost a full year to write a novel. This would be book number 2. So I love writing for fun. I wrote my first book. It took almost a year and a half to complete. And that one was like a trauma dump. And then I did a second book. So I was like, I enjoyed writing so much, but the trauma dump was stressful. So I want to write a story that is fun. Something that has a heavy meaning to it, but something that can also have fun doing and it not be a trauma dump. So I spent about a year writing this story, editing it, and I sent it to all my friends. And for the 2 friends who read it of the 10 I sent it to, they said, this is actually really good. You really should do something with it. So I know when the talk show ends in a few weeks, I'm going to take a look at this book again. I'm going to work on finding a way to getting it published. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. But outside of this talk show and a lot outside of my blog, I do have issues with feeling sad sometimes. And a lot of my writing, when I channel into that space, I take it very seriously. So there's a lot of jokes. This talk show, my blog, has been about being distracted and having fun and letting myself have fun and being zany for the sake of it and kind of channeling a character like Zach Galifianakis between 2 ferns. So it's fun. It's a fun distraction. But on the other side of that, a lot of the viewers, a lot of readers, or people who see me on social media, they don't quite know that I'm very emotional. I get in my head a lot. And writing is one of my favorite outlets. So I think if someone were to read this book that I want to publish, they would be surprised. I don't know that they would even expect that to come from me. Not like I'm saying, oh, I'm all special, but just because of my goofy demeanor, I really don't think it's expected, and it will be surprising. Well, that was one of the last questions from the questions you asked. Yes, a lot of great questions. And yeah, so tune in. Next week, we have a fantastic episode. I can't wait for you to see it. A lot of money and travel went into it, so I hope you like it. And then after that, we're doing the finale. So thank you for watching. Again, my name's Cody. I'm also known as the Oolong Drunk, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Next week on Blissfully Tea Drunk With.